What we're going to chat about today is, we've been on this this AI journey for just almost 2 years. November 2022. Today we launched ChatGPT. Try talking with it here, and that's the day that everything sort of changed. There's a big old line in time where we kind of measure things before ChatGPT and after, because it's the moment that everything went public. Before ChatGPT, we were working with GenAI, we were working with machine learning, but it was all happening in the background. It was very operational, we were exploring it. It was also very rudimentary. It was largely rubbish, if I'm completely honest, which is why nobody really spoke about it. It was very, very hard to do really good work with AI back then. That all changed over there. And if you look sort of over the last 2 years, interest isn't waning, barring this bizarre blip where we completely lost interest about a year ago. Public interest, this is Google searches, public interest in GenAI just keeps on growing. I love this, overheard at Cannes this year. Princess Beatrice, why am I on this panel about AI? And the panel member, every panel is about AI. Which I think is sometimes, a little bit what it feels like. It's everywhere. It's all everybody can talk about. It's, are you on the bus? Should you be on the bus? Is this going to revolutionize things? Is this, just snake oil? What does this all mean? And it's all very valid because, we can do amazing things. This is Runway's Gen 3. It's about a week old, 10 days old. Video generated in there, which, barring maybe some of the weirdness on the side of this image, is an incredible image. It's a well-directed image. The quality is very nearly kind of production ready. It can do some very scary things as well. If you ran a Chevrolet dealer in the Midwest, and you created a chatbot for a host of reasons, you didn't do it properly, and it was set up in a way that you could gaslight the chatbot into selling you a Tesla. And this is a transcript from a conversation that happened where, in fact, on the Chevrolet website, you can see it here, Chevrolet of Watsonville, the chatbot essentially suggested skip Chevrolet and buy a Tesla. It can also do really human things. As we're getting to know it, as we're starting to get into more specific use cases, this was a version of ChatGPT 3.5 that was trained on 140,000 Slack messages. And the user asked the bot to write a blog post on prompt engineering. The AI said, I'll start it tomorrow, because it had been enough material in its training kind of corpus to say that, well, that's generally when people start this type of work. It's definitely a morning job. We won't start it now. And the user said, no, you'll start it now. And the AI said, okay. But either way, the genie's not going back in the bottle. There's no single global kill switch that's going to mean that suddenly there is no GenAI. There will be headwinds. Things will slow down. Things will get complicated. There will be public opinion. There will be all sorts of things that make this more complex. But the thing that's not going to happen is it's not going to go away. And I think that for me is sort of the first and most important thing, that when I speak to our customers and our staff and peers about this, is accepting that, good or bad, it is here to stay in some way, shape, or form. Things are absolutely going to change. And what will happen is this will happen gradually and then suddenly. Sort of be slow and fragmented and a bit messy like it is right now. We can't quite get our, a rhythm going. And then we'll look behind us and suddenly we're like, oh, hang on. Actually, it's working. It's been working. It's changing everything. There's an adage that says that humans tend to overestimate the impact of technology in the short term and underestimate it in the long term. And that's sort of the case here as well, is we overestimate how amazing this will be today and how amazing this will be tomorrow. And we forget that it's on a constant path of improvement, and eventually it will be there. So it's really, really important to remember that everything is progressing all the time. So as an agency, we've been involved in AI as far back as probably about 2016. We started messing with machine learning, AI really around 2018. And like I said, it was hard to get really good use cases back then. Machine learning was very useful for us, but generative AI, as we know today, just wasn't there yet. But especially over the last sort of 2 years, we've really, as an agency, doubled down and invested in generative AI. So I want to talk about a couple of the things that we've learned, while over this time. And the first one, and the one, it's probably my favorite one, is that actually GenAI isn't really about technology. It's about people. Yes, the technology matters. Yes, the technology is amazing and can seem magical, but without people who can leverage and embrace and harness that technology, it's empty. It can give people superpowers. There are studies done by Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, and others that have proven that GenAI can raise the floor of performance of people. In one study for management consultants, it raised the floor of their lowest performing consultants by 17% immediately. Now, the interesting thing is, as much as it raised the floor by 17%, for the lowest performing candidates, the higher performing candidates saw a very negligible improvement in their performance, which is really interesting. And the reason was that they were questioning the AI more than the less experienced consultants were. They were accepting the AI and it raised the floor. The more experienced guys were questioning, saying, actually, hang on, I disagree. And it actually had a negative impact on their performance, which was really, really interesting. It can allow us to get to the utopian world of efficiency and effectiveness. Over the last few years, we've been focusing massively on efficiency. Create more, create it faster, create it cheaper. We've been talking a lot about creating better, but in a world where we don't know which 50% of our marketing spend is the most effective, the answer is just make more stuff. Make more stuff for more people, because then more stuff will hit the wall and be effective. GenAI, we're finding, is changing that equation. It's allowing us to be, yes, more efficient, but also more effective. When we use it within our strategy department, we're able to create infinite focus groups, creating infinite insights. It's really, really interesting. I use the word infinite maybe with a bit of tongue in cheek, but we're literally able to stand up cohorts of focus groups within minutes. Test thinking, adjust our thinking, test it again, adjust our thinking, test it again. Still go through a human focus group as well, but by the time we hit the human focus group, we've really sharpened our thinking a lot, and it allowed us to iterate really, really quickly and get to much more effective work really at speed. Storyboards, we've taken from creating 2 weeks to 2 days. We can create storyboards in so little time now that allows us to create 4, 5, 6, 10 storyboards where previously we created one. Every time improving the creative, driving the message harder, trying to create work that will land better. Looking at a real example for one of our CPG clients, beauty texture shoots, similar to what you're seeing over here. Shoots that used to take us weeks and weeks to put together, we can now do in days. And again, it allows us to iterate. And that iteration allows us to do better work, but also allows us to create more personalized work. And that's the other promise of GenAI. It allows us to get to a world of creating work that is more relevant to more people. And then asset creation, you would have heard, I'm sure by now you would have heard of Pencil. Oliver, Brantec Group, Jellyfish, all of us talk about Pencil. Pretty much if you stand still, we're going to tell you about Pencil. It is amazing. Asset creation, in some cases, we're creating assets 10 times faster than before, but we're improving our media performance as well. So we're hitting that utopian kind of world of efficiency and effectiveness. So really, what's the word? These are easy stats to sort of put out. And I think when you sit here, you're kind of going to go, what does this mean? What do I do with this? And I think the next couple of slides, what I want to chat about are sort of 5 things that I think really are fundamental to how you can start approaching GenAI in a way that is maybe starting with experimental, but more transformative quite quickly. And the first one is accepting that because of the nature of GenAI, we have to collaborate beyond marketing. GenAI does not exist in a vacuum. You need legal in the room. You need IP in the room. You need IT in the room. You pretty much need everybody in the room. And unfortunately, that does mean that things slow down. But it's part of why you need an iterative approach, an approach that can start small, build momentum, and build support. But you need to make sure that when you get to wanting to bring this to the market, you have to have a cross-departmental view on this. This is too complicated, it is too risky for marketing to just say, let's just flight some assets. We had this happen in Australia with a client. They signed an AI waiver that we run with our clients to make sure that everybody's clear on the risks of using AI, and marketing went ahead and they've been flighting assets for 12 months. Absolutely no issues whatsoever, which is amazing. I would have thought that we were quite worried about that, and it's been absolutely fine. But that was one brand in Australia. To take that one brand in Australia global has taken us the better part of 12 months, bringing the rest of the organization on the journey. So it's important that we always remember that we've got to collaborate beyond marketing. The next thing is that any one of us can install ChatGPT. In fact, you've probably all got it on your phones already. And you've got Claude, and you've got Perplexity, and you've got it. So does everybody else. So having access to ChatGPT isn't a differentiator at all. Having access to DALL-E or to Midjourney or to Firefly, that's fine, but so does everybody else. So what do you do to differentiate? And that comes down to your data. And when I say data, I mean your brand identity, I mean your first party, your third party data, I mean your really all the things that make you as a brand and you as an organization unique. Because when you combine those with GenAI, it's a bit like a pyramid. If you imagine you've got the your generic third-party tools at the bottom of the pyramid, you've got your kind of unique data over here. Those two things combined create what we call sort of proprietary competitive advantage. It creates the top of the pyramid that hopefully allows you to do things that other people can't do, and do that in a way that is sustainable and helps you set your brand apart in the long run. You need as few tools as possible. I love this one because there are thousands, and I'm sure if you subscribe to the newsletters and you even just read the news, every day there's a new thing. Have you seen this? Have you seen that? And they're all amazing. And it's so easy to get distracted by the next shiny thing. The truth is you don't need the next shiny thing for the most part. What you need is as few tools as possible, but you need the right tools. So you really need to understand, what are the handful of tools that work within your organization and within your context. So 5 fundamentals to get you from the sidelines to the inside. It's as bad today as it will ever be. And this is my favorite quote about GenAI. I think I've said that already. I've got lots of favorite quotes about GenAI. But like I said, when we started, playing with this 5 years ago, it was not fit for purpose. But the fact that we were experimenting means that as it got better, we were already at a moving start. We weren't coming from a standing start as things became relevant and became more powerful. GenAI can't be creative. Maybe it can't, not in the traditional sense of creativity. Can a good creative create better creative using GenAI? Yes, they can. Will they get better at that over time as the models become more specific, as the models become more powerful? Yes, it absolutely will be. So we have to prepare our teams and our organizations for this. We have to think about this not only top down, but also bottom up. We often say that this is a horizontal revolution. So when we think about the impact that GenAI has, it's not only something that's going to be mandated from the top of an organization and cascaded down. The real magic sits at the bottom of the pyramid. The real magic sits with the people using this day in and day out and finding use cases that none of us can even imagine and going, actually, hang on, that's a really interesting solution. Let's try that. That works. Let's get that to percolate up the organization. You have to prepare your teams. You also have to prepare the business. And it comes back to my earlier point about partnering and outside of marketing. You have to also be clear about the value that you're trying to unlock. We tend to start thinking about GenAI and efficiency, and that's absolutely fine. We can unlock huge amounts of efficiency. My feeling about efficiency and GenAI is that it's going to make everybody more efficient. And if it makes everybody more efficient, it means that all that's happened is the efficiency floor has been raised. We need another way of differentiating. It's pointless we just focus on creating more things faster. What are we going to do to unlock long-term value? And we see that as, yes, being impossibly efficient, but also creating the impossible every day. How can we use GenAI to do things we couldn't do before? And I spoke about iteration earlier and personalization. Those are some of the ideas of things you can do. It gets into the type of content you create as well, but you've got to ask yourself all the time, what are you going to do with that headroom you create? That headroom of efficiency has to unlock something. It can't just unlock savings. If it unlocks savings, you will stay static, you will fall behind because your competitors are doing more than just unlocking savings. Those savings have to be reinvested. They have to help push you forward. Obviously, there's risk. And the truth is we don't know what all the risks are right now. We've got a very robust framework coming out of the EU around the use of GenAI, which I think will help us behave safely and ethically and in a way that is not damaging. That will be different as we go across markets. But we need to understand that there are risks, and those risks are non-linear. They're not distributed in any kind of even way. Depending on the type of content you create, depending on the consumers you interact with, depending on the regions you operate in, there are different types of risk. And that risk ranges from reputational risk to real business risk. So you really need to be very, very clear about the fact that there absolutely are risks, and you need to understand them, manage them, and mitigate them. And then the next thing is, this is fast, and it is iterative. GenAI allows us to iterate faster than we've ever been able to before, both in the work we do, but also in how we do the work. And there's real power in iteration. Iteration allows us to try things, and it reduces the cost and the risk and the complexity of trying things. It means that we can go into a boardroom with a couple of smart people on a laptop and in a 2 or 3 hour hackathon, prove a business case for an entire new campaign for a new product and go, yeah, this works. And that normally would have taken us months of work to do. It allows us to really do things at such speed that we almost have to de-risk our thinking and our approach to this so that we are able to experiment, we are able to get into the water. We can't learn to swim from the shore. And this is really, really important, because coming back to the point that the genie's not going to go back into the bottle, it also means if we want to be ready, we actually do need to get, lose our water wings and actually get comfortable in this world and operating in this world. So you can't learn to swim from the shore. You have to, get your hands dirty and get in there. And then the last one is it's complicated and it's changing quickly, and there are lots of people who will tell you, buy this product, do this thing. And some of them are right and some of them are wrong, and it doesn't really matter. You need to find the right partners to journey with you, because this is complicated, because this is cross-functional, because this isn't about just one quick campaign. This is about long-term change. You have to find the right partners for your business and for your use cases. You've got to have a relationship of trust and empathy and understanding with them to be able to really reach in and unlock the benefits of GenAI, which is why, I suppose we're obviously a little bit biased, but we believe that GenAI is better from the inside, because the inside model gives you the geographic and physical and emotional proximity and understanding and empathy for your world and your brand's world that allows you to go, we need to pop into a room with legal and talk about this. We need to pop into IP, want to chat about this, let's talk about it. You need to be able to be very, very agile and operate in a very safe and trustworthy environment, which, like I said, we're biased, but we believe that really is better from the inside.